Welcome back to our channel Rare Coins Collections. Coin collectors and enthusiasts. If you've ever wondered about the hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're in for a treat today. We're diving into a coin that might look like just another penny to the untrained eye, but could be worth far more than its face value, the 1978 Lincoln penny. This little coin, which has been in circulation for decades, holds the potential to be a real find for collectors. So, let's take a closer look at what makes this penny so special and what you need to watch out for when it comes to value. Let's begin with the basics. The 1978 Lincoln penny, like all Lincoln pennies, features the famous portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design has been the standard since the coin's introduction in 1909. You'll notice the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," above and below Lincoln's portrait, respectively, with the date, 1978, on the lower right side. On the reverse, the coin showcases the classic design of a wheat stalk, a symbol of abundance, along with the words, "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and 1 cent. While the design on the 1978 Lincoln penny may seem standard, it's the potential for minting errors that make this coin really interesting. As you might know, errors happen during the minting process, and some of these errors can turn an ordinary penny into a valuable collector's item. So, what kinds of errors should you be on the lookout for in the 1978 penny? One of the most valuable and sought-after errors in this coin is the double die obverse. This is one of the most common errors found in many coins, but when it appears in a 1978 Lincoln penny, it can drastically increase its value. A double die obverse occurs when the die used to strike the coin misaligns, causing the design to be imprinted twice. If you look closely at a penny with this error, you might notice that the lettering, especially the word "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," appears slightly doubled or misaligned. The more pronounced the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes, with some of these pennies fetching a significant price. Another error that can make the 1978 Lincoln penny even more valuable is the die crack. A die crack happens when a crack forms in the die used to strike the coins. This can create a raised line or crack in the design of the coin, making it stand out from the rest. The die crack on a 1978 penny can appear anywhere on the coin, but it's often found along the edges of Lincoln's portrait or around the lettering. While die cracks are not as dramatic as other errors like double dies, they are still sought after by collectors who appreciate the uniqueness of these pieces. Now that we know what to look for, let's talk about why these errors make the 1978 Lincoln penny so valuable. First and foremost, the value of a coin is heavily influenced by its rarity. Most 1978 pennies were minted without errors, so those with notable mistakes are much rarer and therefore more valuable. Whether it's a double die or a die crack, these errors are not something you come across every day. Collectors and investors alike are willing to pay a premium for coins with these types of imperfections because they're much harder to find. Another key factor that makes the 1978 Lincoln penny valuable is its historical significance. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation for over a century, and some of the earlier years, like 1909, are incredibly valuable. While the 1978 penny isn't as old as some of its predecessors, it's still part of a long-running series that holds historical and cultural value. For collectors, owning a piece of this iconic series, especially one with a rare minting error, can make the coin even more appealing. Additionally, the condition of the coin plays a crucial role in determining its value. A well-preserved penny, one that hasn't been worn down by circulation, is always worth more than a coin that's been damaged or heavily scratched. The better the condition of your 1978 Lincoln penny, the more it could be worth, especially if it has an error. For example, a double die obverse penny in mint condition could command a far higher price than a penny that's been circulated and shows signs of wear. If you're lucky enough to have a pristine 1978 penny with an error, the value could be substantially higher. So, how much can a 1978 Lincoln penny with an error be worth? If you find a 1978 penny with a noticeable double die obverse or a die crack, and it's in good to excellent condition, you could be looking at a coin worth anywhere from $2,800 to $29,000. That's right. A penny worth just 1 cent could potentially be worth thousands, depending on the rarity of the error and the overall condition of the coin. While not every 1978 penny with an error will fetch such a high price, the potential for a big payout is there if you know what to look for. Now, how do you spot one of these valuable 1978 Lincoln pennies? First, grab a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. This is a must-have tool for inspecting your coins closely. Start by carefully examining the obverse of the penny. Look at the word Liberty and the date 1978 for any signs of doubling. If the letters look like they have a faint shadow or seem misaligned, you might have a double die obverse on your hands. Next, check around Lincoln's portrait for any raised lines or cracks. If you spot a crack running through his image or around the edge of the coin, you might have a die crack error. Once you've inspected the front, flip the coin over and take a look at the reverse. While the errors are most commonly found on the obverse, it's still worth checking the reverse for any anomalies. If you spot something unusual, like a die crack or doubling, then you could have a rare and valuable 1978 Lincoln penny. And of course, when in doubt, getting your coin professionally graded by a reputable service like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, can help you confirm its authenticity and value. Grading a coin helps determine its condition, which can greatly impact its worth. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from all of you. Have you ever found a coin that turned out to be worth a lot more than you thought? Maybe you have a 1978 Lincoln penny or another coin with an error that you're wondering about. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and experiences with rare coins. In conclusion, the 1978 Lincoln penny is much more than just another coin from the US Mint. With the potential for valuable errors like the double die obverse and die cracks, it's a coin that can be worth a lot more than you might expect. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare pennies in your collection, you could be holding on to a small fortune. Keep an eye out for those minting mistakes, and remember, rare coins like these don't just sit around forever. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into a coin that may seem pretty ordinary at first glance, but could be hiding an incredible value just beneath its surface, the 1980 Lincoln penny. You might be wondering, what makes this penny so special? Well, it's all about the details and the potential hidden gems within these seemingly regular coins. So, if you've ever found a 1980 Lincoln penny, or if you're just curious about what to look for in your own collection, stick around because you might be sitting on a small fortune. First, let's take a moment to talk about the basic features of the 1980 Lincoln penny. The front, or obverse, of the coin, is adorned with the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. This portrait, designed by artist Victor David Brenner, has been used since 1909 and is an iconic part of American coinage. Above Lincoln's head, you'll find the word Liberty, while the phrase, "In God We Trust," is inscribed below his chin. The date, 1980, sits just to the right of his portrait. On the reverse side, you'll see the classic design featuring two stalks of wheat surrounding the words, United States of America, E pluribus unum, and 1 cent. Now, you might think this coin looks just like any other penny, but the 1980 Lincoln penny is one that collectors pay attention to, especially if there's a minting error involved. Like all coins, sometimes the minting process doesn't go quite as planned, leading to errors that can turn a simple penny into a highly valuable piece. So, what kinds of errors are we talking about when it comes to the 1980 penny? Let's take a look. Point one of the most valuable and sought-after errors in the 1980 Lincoln penny is the double die obverse. This is one of the most common types of minting errors, but it's still highly coveted by collectors. A double die obverse happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly, causing the design to be struck twice. This results in a doubled or misaligned image on the coin, particularly in the lettering. If you look closely at the word Liberty or In God We Trust, you may notice that the letters appear doubled or out of alignment. The more prominent the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes. These types of errors are often easy to spot once you know what to look for, and they're one of the main reasons why the 1980 penny can fetch a higher price. Another potential error to watch for is the die crack. A die crack happens when a crack forms in the die that strikes the coin. This crack can cause a raised line or crack to appear on the surface of the coin. In the case of the 1980 Lincoln penny, you might notice a die crack along Lincoln's portrait, through the lettering, or around the edge of the coin. While die cracks are generally more subtle than a double die obverse, they're still a significant feature that can make a coin more desirable to collectors. Now, you might be wondering, why does a minting error like a double die obverse or a die crack make the 1980 penny so valuable? The key here is rarity. Most of the 1980 Lincoln pennies that were produced are error-free, so those with unique minting mistakes are much rarer. The rarer a coin is, the higher its value becomes, especially if the error is something that makes the coin stand out. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for these special pieces because they're harder to find, and they bring something truly unique to a collection. Additionally, the condition of the coin is another major factor that determines its value. A 1980 penny that has been well preserved, with little to no wear, will obviously be worth more than one that has been circulated extensively. If you find a 1980 penny that looks brand new or nearly perfect, and it has an error like a double die obverse or die crack, the value could be significantly higher. A coin in pristine condition is always more valuable, as collectors seek out coins that have been kept in the best possible shape. So, how much can you expect to get for a 1980 Lincoln penny with an error? Well, it really depends on the type of error and the condition of the coin. For example, a 1980 penny with a noticeable double die obverse error in great condition could be worth anywhere from $2,800 to $27,000. That's right, this simple penny could be worth thousands, depending on how rare and well preserved it is. Of course, the price can vary based on demand, the prominence of the error, and the specific grade of the coin, but it's clear that a rare, error-filled 1980 penny can fetch a hefty price. So, how do you spot a valuable 1980 Lincoln penny? The first step is to inspect the obverse carefully. Take a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and look at the word "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date, 1980. If you notice any signs of doubling, whether it's a shadow or a second, misaligned set of letters, you may have found a double die obverse error. The next step is to flip the coin over and inspect the reverse side. Look closely for any die cracks or raised lines. While die cracks aren't as easy to spot as doubling, they're still a valuable feature to look for, especially around Lincoln's image or on the edges of the coin. Once you've done your initial inspection, if you think you've found an error, the next step is to get your coin professionally graded. A professional grading service, like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can evaluate the coin's condition and authenticate any errors. The grade the coin receives can greatly influence its value, so getting it graded by a trusted service is a smart move if you're serious about selling or valuing your coin. And now, I'd love to hear from all of you. Have you ever found a 1980 Lincoln penny or another coin with a minting error? Maybe you've stumbled across a hidden gem and didn't even realize it at first. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and tips for finding these valuable coins. To sum up, the 1980 Lincoln penny may seem like a simple coin, but it has the potential to be much more valuable than its face value. With the possibility of minting errors like the double die obverse or die crack, this penny could be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. Keep your eyes peeled, inspect your pennies carefully, and you could discover a hidden treasure that could be worth thousands of dollars. Today, we're going to talk about a coin that you might have just tossed into your spare change jar without a second thought, the 1975 Lincoln penny. While most people probably overlook this coin, if you know what to look for, it could be worth thousands of dollars. So, if you've ever found a 1975 penny in your collection, or if you're just interested in what makes this particular penny so special, stick around because this could be the coin that turns your collection into a small fortune. Let's start with the basics. The 1975 Lincoln penny, like every penny from 1909 onward, features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This portrait has graced the obverse of the penny for more than a century. Above Lincoln's head, you'll see the word "Liberty," with the phrase, "In God we trust," below his chin. The date, 1975, is placed just to the right of Lincoln's image. On the reverse, you'll find the familiar design of two stalks of wheat surrounding the words, United States of America, e pluribus unum, and 1 cent. At first glance, this coin may seem like just another standard penny, but what makes the 1975 Lincoln penny so interesting for collectors is what could be hiding under the surface: minting errors. That's right, some 1975 pennies were struck with errors during the minting process, and these errors can make a big difference in the coin's value. Let's dive into the types of errors that you should keep an eye out for, as well as how these errors can increase the worth of the coin. One of the most common errors that can make a 1975 Lincoln penny worth much more than face value is a double die obverse. This is one of the most sought-after errors in coins, and it happens when the die that stamps the coin shifts slightly during the minting process, causing the design to be stamped more than once. This results in a doubling effect on the lettering and image, making it appear as if the text or image is slightly out of alignment. In the case of the 1975 penny, you may notice that the word "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appears doubled or misaligned. The more prominent the doubling, the more valuable the coin can be. These types of errors are one of the reasons that the 1975 Lincoln penny can be so valuable for collectors. Another error to watch for is a die crack. A die crack occurs when a crack forms in the die used to strike the coin. This crack can leave a raised line or crack in the design of the coin. In a 1975 penny, you might find a die crack running through Lincoln's portrait, or around the edge of the coin. While die cracks may not be as dramatic as a double die, they are still considered valuable by collectors because they add a unique and rare element to the coin. So, why is the 1975 Lincoln penny so valuable, especially when it has these types of errors? The primary reason is rarity. The majority of 1975 pennies were struck correctly, so those with errors are much rarer, and rarity directly impacts a coin's value. A penny with a doubling effect or die crack is a much less common find, making it more desirable for collectors looking to complete their collections. As with many collectible items, the rarer the piece, the higher the price someone is willing to pay for it, but it's not just the errors that make the 1975 penny special. Condition also plays a key role in its value. A well-preserved penny, one that hasn't been worn down by years of circulation, will generally be worth more than one that's been heavily used. So, if you find a 1975 penny with a minting error and it's in excellent condition, you could be looking at a coin worth much more than its face value. The more pristine the coin, the higher its value. Now, let's get into the exciting part. How much is a 1975 Lincoln penny with an error worth? Well, depending on the rarity of the error, the condition of the coin, and the level of demand in the collector market, a 1975 penny with a noticeable minting mistake can be worth anywhere from $2,800 to $32,000. That's right, this simple penny could be worth thousands, all because of a small mistake made during the minting process. So, how do you spot one of these valuable 1975 Lincoln pennies? First things first, grab a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. You're going to want to take a close look at the coin, especially the obverse. Start by inspecting the word "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" for any signs of doubling. If you see a shadow or a second set of faint letters, you may have found a double die obverse. The more pronounced the doubling, the more valuable the coin is. Next, take a look at Lincoln's portrait for any raised lines or cracks. If you spot a crack running through his image or across the edge of the coin, that's a sign of a die crack. While die cracks are more subtle than doubling, they're still an error worth keeping an eye on. A die crack on a 1975 penny can make it unique, and collectors love the rarity of these types of coins. Once you've closely examined the coin and found what you believe could be a valuable error, you should get it professionally graded. A coin's grade can make a huge difference in its value. Having your coin graded by a trusted service like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can help you get an accurate assessment of its condition and worth. And before we wrap up, I want to hear from all of you. Have you ever come across a 1975 Lincoln penny with an error? Maybe you found one with a double die or a die crack. I'd love to hear your experiences and thoughts in the comments below. What other rare coins have you stumbled upon in your search? To sum it all up, the 1975 Lincoln penny may look like an ordinary coin, but with the right minting error, it could be worth a small fortune. Whether it's a double die obverse, a die crack, or simply a well-preserved example in great condition, the 1975 penny is definitely a coin worth keeping an eye out for in your collection. If you happen to find one with an error, it could be worth anywhere from $2,800 to $32,000. So, don't overlook those pennies, they could be the key to a rare and valuable discovery. Today, we're going to dive into the details of the 1981 Lincoln penny and explore why it might be worth far more than its 1-cent value. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone interested in coins, you'll want to pay attention to this one. Stick around, because you might just have a small fortune in your pocket. Let's start with the basics. The 1981 Lincoln penny, like all pennies minted since 1909, features the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's portrait, you'll find the word Liberty, and just below his chin, the motto, "In God We Trust," is inscribed. To the right of Lincoln, you'll see the date, 1981, stamped on the coin. On the reverse side, the design shows two stalks of wheat surrounding the words, United States of America, E pluribus unum, and 1 cent. At first glance, the 1981 Lincoln penny might seem like a run-of-the-mill coin. But as with many other coins in the history of U.S. minting, this penny has a special place in the hearts of collectors, especially those who are keen on identifying errors or varieties that can make a coin extraordinarily valuable. If you're looking to turn your 1981 penny into something worth much more than its face value, it's all about identifying the right errors and features. Let's take a closer look at the key errors that can make a 1981 penny stand out. One of the most notable errors to watch for in the 1981 penny is the double die obverse. This type of error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, causing the image and text on the coin to be stamped twice. The result? You might notice that the word Liberty or the motto, "In God We Trust," appears doubled or misaligned. Double dies are one of the most sought-after errors by collectors, and if you're lucky enough to find one, your 1981 penny could be worth far more than just a few cents. The more prominent the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes, so keep a sharp eye out for this particular error. Another error that collectors are on the lookout for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned in the press, causing the image and text to be struck slightly off-center. An off-center strike can add a unique and visually interesting feature to a coin, making it highly collectible. If you spot a 1981 penny that looks slightly misaligned or off-center, you could be holding a coin that will catch the attention of collectors willing to pay a premium for it. Now, let's talk about why these errors make the 1981 Lincoln penny so valuable. It all boils down to rarity. Most 1981 pennies were struck without any issues, so those with errors are relatively rare. The more rare a coin is, the more valuable it becomes in the eyes of collectors. Coins with noticeable errors are harder to find, and collectors are always on the hunt for unique pieces to add to their collections. Additionally, the condition of the coin plays a significant role in determining its value. A well-preserved 1981 penny with an error will always be worth more than one that's heavily worn or damaged. The condition of a coin is often assessed using a grading system. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. For example, if your 1981 penny is in mint state, meaning it's in nearly perfect condition, it will likely command a much higher price than a penny that's been through years of heavy circulation. A graded coin with a minting error in excellent condition can really drive up the value, especially if it's one of the rarer error types. So, how much can your 1981 Lincoln penny with an error be worth? Well, depending on the type of error and the condition of the coin, you could be looking at a value anywhere from $2,800 to $30,000. That's right, a simple penny, if it's rare enough and in good enough condition, can fetch thousands of dollars on the collector market. The price varies depending on the error, the degree of that error, and how well the coin has been preserved. To spot a valuable 1981 Lincoln penny, here are some tips to follow. First, grab a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe so you can inspect the coin closely. Look at the obverse, especially the word "Liberty" and the phrase, "In God We Trust." If you notice any doubling, that could indicate a double die obverse. The more obvious the doubling, the more valuable the coin. Next, flip the penny over and check for an off-center strike. Hold the coin at different angles under the light and look for any signs of misalignment. If you see a coin that's not perfectly centered, it could be an off-center error. Once you've identified a coin that you believe might be valuable, the next step is to have it professionally graded. A trusted grading service, such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can evaluate the coin's condition and authenticate any errors. The grading process will help determine the exact value of your coin based on its condition and rarity. A well-graded coin can significantly increase its resale value. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Have you ever found a 1981 Lincoln penny with an error, or maybe another rare coin that turned out to be worth more than you thought? Let me know in the comments below. What type of errors do you look for when going through your coin collection? Sharing your experiences can help others discover the hidden treasures they might be sitting on. To sum it up, while the 1981 Lincoln penny may seem like an ordinary coin, it can actually be a valuable piece of numismatic history, especially if it has an error. Whether it's a double die obverse, an off-center strike, or simply a well-preserved coin, the 1981 penny can be worth far more than just 1 cent. If you find one with an error, it could be worth anywhere from $2,800 to $30,000. Keep an eye out, because you never know when you might stumble upon a hidden gem in your spare change. Today, we have a real treat for you, a coin that many people probably toss into their pockets without a second thought, but this one could actually be worth a lot of money. I'm talking about the 1974 Lincoln penny. If you've ever found one of these pennies tucked away in your collection or just spotted one in your change jar, you might be sitting on a hidden treasure. Now, you might be wondering, why would a penny from 1974 be so valuable? Well, that's what we're going to explore today. The 1974 Lincoln penny may seem like just another penny from the 1970s, but there's a lot more to this coin than meets the eye. With a closer look, we'll uncover its key features, some rare errors to keep an eye out for, and why this coin is worth far more than just 1 cent. So, let's start with the basics. The 1974 Lincoln penny features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's image, you'll see the word "Liberty," and just below his chin, there's the phrase, "In God We Trust." To the right of Lincoln, you'll find the year 1974 stamped on the coin. On the reverse, you'll see the classic wheat stalks design, with "United States of America" and "1 cent" inscribed. At first glance, this penny might look like just another piece of pocket change. However, for those who know what to look for, this coin has the potential to be incredibly valuable, thanks to some rare errors that occurred during its production. If you're lucky enough to find one of these errors, you could be looking at a coin worth thousands of dollars. So, what should you be on the lookout for? One of the most sought-after errors in the 1974 Lincoln penny is the double die obverse. This occurs when the die that strikes the coin shifts slightly during the minting process, causing the image and text on the coin to be stamped more than once. The result? You might notice that the word "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appears doubled, or even misaligned. This type of error is highly prized by collectors because it creates a visually striking and unique coin. If you spot any doubling or misalignment in these key areas, you may have just found a real gem. Another error to watch for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't properly aligned in the press during the minting process. As a result, the design might be struck off-center, creating a coin that looks different from a typical penny. Off-center strikes are often very noticeable, and they make a coin stand out in a collection. If you find a 1974 penny that's been struck off center, it could be a valuable collector's piece, especially if the error is pronounced. Now, why are these errors so important? Well, it all comes down to rarity. The vast majority of 1974 pennies were minted without any issues, so those with errors are much rarer and more sought after. Rarity is one of the main factors that drive a coin's value. The more unique and difficult to find a coin is, the more collectors are willing to pay for it. Whether it's the double die, the off-center strike, or other less common minting errors, a 1974 penny with one of these features is a much more valuable coin than a standard, error-free penny. But it's not just the error that can make the 1974 penny valuable. Condition is just as important. A coin that has been well preserved, free of scratches or damage, and has retained its original luster will always fetch a higher price than one that's been worn down by years of circulation. When you're looking for a valuable 1974 penny, make sure you also pay attention to its condition. A coin in excellent shape will be worth much more than one that's been through the ringer. If you think you found a 1974 Lincoln penny with a minting error, it's essential to have it properly graded by a professional. Grading services, such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can evaluate the condition of your coin and help establish its true value. Coins that are professionally graded typically fetch a higher price, as collectors trust the grading system to ensure accuracy. So, how much can a 1974 Lincoln penny with an error be worth? Depending on the rarity of the error and the condition of the coin, a 1974 penny with a minting mistake can be worth anywhere from $2,800 to $35,000. Yes, that's right, this simple penny could be worth thousands, all because of a small error made during its production. But how can you spot one of these valuable coins in your collection? Well, it's all about paying attention to the details. Grab a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and start inspecting the coin. Look closely at the word Liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust." If you notice any signs of doubling or misalignment, you may have found a double die obverse. The more pronounced the doubling, the more valuable the coin could be. Next, flip the coin over and check for an off-center strike. Hold the coin at different angles under the light and look for any signs of the design being misaligned. Once you've identified a potential error, make sure to have the coin graded by a professional. Getting your coin graded will not only authenticate the error but also give you an accurate idea of its condition and value. With the right error and in the right condition, your 1974 Lincoln penny could be worth a small fortune. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Have you ever come across a 1974 Lincoln penny with a minting error, or maybe even a different rare coin that turned out to be valuable? Share your experiences with us in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your discoveries. In conclusion, while the 1974 Lincoln penny might seem like just another coin, it has the potential to be worth much more than its 1-cent value, especially if it has an error. Whether it's a double die obverse, an off-center strike, or simply a well-preserved example, the 1974 penny is definitely worth keeping an eye on. If you find one with an error, it could be worth anywhere from $2,800 to $35,000. So, next time you come across a 1974 penny, take a closer look. It could be worth a lot more than you think. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tips on rare and valuable coins. Keep hunting, and happy collecting.